Three, two, one. In today's podcast episode, I have the pleasure of interviewing Debbie Wheeler Anosike. She is married to a Nigerian man, and they both live in Texas. Her journey of immigration started back in 2011 with her first Nigerian husband. So she was 51 years old when she married the first time, and they were married for a little while. Things were good, and then things were not good. So she ended up filing for him. So that was her first time really learning how to file for an immigrant. So long story short, he got married to someone else, and later on, years later, a friend of hers introduced her to her current husband. So now she's been married since May 15th, 2015, and she too had to file for him. So both times for both husbands, she stayed in the country of Nigeria for 6 months, which we'll learn later on that it kind of sort of does help the immigration process. And of course, it adds to a travel experience. So her filing from the interview to the whole, well, from the filing to the interview took 10 months. And so let's see. So at the time of the filing, she was 56 and he was 30. So sure, sure, I know what you're thinking. Oh, what a huge age gap. How do you know that he's not trying to use her? But she'll talk more about that. And she overcame all the red flags that it came with immigration. So based off of her experiences with Nigerian men, with the immigration, she is now a visa guru. She is a heaven sent. So without further ado, I want to introduce you to the woman that also helped me to make it through sanity through my own immigration process. Debbie, did I do it right?
Yes, you did. Perfect. I don't have anything to say now.
So thank you so much for being here. We gotta dive into it, because there are so many easy misconceptions about immigration, about the immigration process. So mine, I guess, let's take it from the beginning. What tell me about the steps you took to file, I guess, for both of your husbands.
Well, for both of them, I filed the I-130, which is filing for an immediate family, which is a spouse. The first one I have filed filed in 2012, and it was funny because it was like about 12 of us Nigerian wives in a group that all filed within a month of each other. And it was like gangbusters, and we were all going through. Some of us were getting approved in 30 days and 60 days. I got approved in 3 months, and then everybody took off to NVC, which is the National Visa Center, and I was still at USCIS, and that's what started me starting to learn, because I really didn't know anything.
Now, we're going to have to break down all the abbreviation for those who have no idea. What is USCIS?
That's what USCIS is, the National
United States
Immigration Center for Immigration or something. I can't.
Oh, God. Okay. United States. Oh, goodness gracious. Okay. I'm going to Google it. Go ahead. Keep talking.
But USCIS, for people want to know, USCIS is Department of Homeland Security. They're that body. They're the ones who adjudicate, which means review your application to make sure really they're looking at, do you have all the paperwork there to even file? Are you worthy? Is the petitioner an axe murderer or something like that? And actually, axe murderers can file and bring people over. So,
okay.
So they're making sure they do background checks to a certain point and make sure that the petitioner is petition ready to petition someone from another country. They kind of look at the evidence, but they really they do not care. Really, they don't. And they kind of peruse through it. They approve you, and they send you off to your next step, which is the National Visa Center, which is in Port Hart. Where is it at? Up there in Maine, New Hampshire, sorry, New Hampshire. And what they do is do more processing. They're the Department of State. So here we started with the Department of Homeland Security. Now you're going to the Department of State, which is the world, they're the ones who make sure that the world is acting right. The embassy, they're in charge of all the embassies and all that kind of stuff. So they get the application, and now they're going through. They don't do any background checks. They're basically the National Visa Center is just a document gathering facility that gathers everything that they need to get your petition package ready for an embassy interview.
And this is also the money side of it. This is
Yeah,
where they really
more
gather the
fees.
money.
Yes, more fees are being paid, more documents, and things have changed so much since we filed. Everything is uploaded now. Nothing has to go through the mail
I'm so
anymore.
not used to that. I did have to, thank goodness my husband and I are finally done with the process. But for the last process, I feel like it is technically the last step of it,
Mhm,
citizenship. That's
mhm.
what we had to do. We literally uploaded everything. So
Wasn't that
thank
nice?
goodness I,
That was
thank
so
goodness
wonderful.
I, already take pictures of everything. But I was like, okay,
Uh-huh.
this is weird. Am I sure I don't have to mail anything?
I'm telling you, because I'm just like, I was telling somebody, man, just the police reports and sending things across the ocean. And then you find out that like people in Russia, it's against the law for them to send any kind of documents like that out of the country. They risk being in prison, sending out their birth certificate, sending out police report to America to get a visa. And it's like, wow, we're putting
Yeah.
people's lives at
Wow.
risk. So it goes through that. Once you get all those documents together and complete your form and stuff, then you sit there and you wait for your embassy to give you an interview, and then schedule an interview, I should say. Then when that interview time comes, then you start doing some more processing. You do your medical, you get your papers work together and get all interview ready to go stand in front of a CO who's already made up their decision anyway. And
Yeah.
then you hope to get a good result, which is an approval, which means a visa in your passport in about 2 weeks, so you can come be with your loved ones.
Now, let's rewind a little bit. Approximately how long? Because it sounds like, okay, cool, I can get through with this in a year. Now we rewind a little bit. Now, approximately how long does it take to go from, now that I Googled it, the United States Citizenship and Immigration Services to the National
Immigrants.
Visa Center?
Right now, depending on your service center, but right now, like if you're in Nebraska, Nebraska literally is at 12 to 15 months just at that stage. Normally, like I had said earlier, the first time I went through it in 3 months, the second time I went through in 5 months. 5 months used to be the precursor. But now Potomac, which is in Virginia, they're about 5 months. California, about 8 or 9 months. Texas, same thing, about 8 or 9 months. Unfortunately, I don't know what's going on in Nebraska. I don't know what happened, but I don't know if they laid everybody off or something. But yeah, 12 to 15 months, and that has even gone to. There's actually a lawsuit. It's actually gone to court. It's been on the news. It's been. I mean, they have had a congressional meeting about it, going, "What is going on, USCIS? Why are you holding up these I-1? It's the I-130s and the I-485s and the citizenships. They were put to the fire. Why are you taking so long? Especially the
Well, I think
citizenship."
in a way we kind of know why. Let's talk briefly about, there is ICE. I call it
ICE.
ICE.
Mm-hmm.
I know but I call it ICE. So because
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I mean they are ICE code with it, but anyway. So immigration and customs enforcement, and then of course Mr. Orange. Once Mr. Orange came
Oh
into
yeah.
office, that's when it really slowed down, because what does he want to do? He wants to have a certain number of immigrants from a certain country come in, right? So
Mm-hmm.
let's see, your man's from Nigeria, mine from the Gambia. I have a lot of friends who I've helped with the immigration journey along the way who are from Ghana.
Mm-hmm.
And so all these countries, well, not the Gambia, but a lot of the countries in West Africa are what they call high scam countries, right?
Mm-hmm. Right. Yep. And it N-400s, which is a citizenship petition, every presidency, it's always either fast or it's slow. And it's like, for some reason, this administration thinks that, I guess, new immigrants are all going to be Democratic. And he'd be surprised, especially like here in Texas, how strong the Latino community is for him. And I mean, and it's not that everybody's going to vote for him and stuff, but it's like, just let the petitions go through, because it's unheard of that a citizen should have to wait 1 to 2 years to get through a first step that used to take 3 to 4 months. I mean, it's just ridiculous. So I don't know what's going to happen with all these lawsuits and everything, but they're supposed to start trimming down the time stuff, because the whole process, I remember I used to tell people expect 12 to 15 months for the whole process from filing to interview day. But now you're looking at almost 2 years now. I mean, like one of the wives said when she filed, they were 5 months married. By the time he gets here, they'll be over 2 years married. And
Yeah.
it's like, and unfortunately, you just don't know. I mean, processing times, as you know, ebb and flow. You can't swear on it. It comes and goes. Today, like I told somebody, one thing about in the service center today, the focus might be I-130s and getting immediate family over. The supervisor can come out tomorrow and say, just like how Obama did during his presidency with DACA, you can say, put all your I-130s in the box. You're going to now focus on waivers. You're now going to focus on fiance visas. I mean, so it's all about the priority of that particular service center and what their focus is on. And so it'll be interesting to see what happens in about, now the summer's over, so the focus isn't on visitor visas and student visas and business visas. Now the shift will go back to immediate family, and it should start picking up a little bit, hopefully.
Hopefully. Now,
Hopefully.
what can people kind of keep track of the processing time that change all the time?
They need to go to uscis.gov, and they can pull up the particular petition that they have filled out, and it'll show the processing times of the service center that they're at, and it kind of gives you a kind of a timeline on what they're looking at, and it'll also give a date on, if you're before this date, if you file before this date, then you can file a what's going on, a request on what's going on. Why am I a service request? Why is it taking so long? If you haven't got to that date yet, you can't. The system will not even allow you to fill out a request. It will
Oh,
say
that's new.
you're not even at process. You're not even there yet. They've changed it quite a bit, and stuff. So it's like, no, you're not. That's why they stopped also the info pass. That now you have to go call them to make an info pass appointment, because they said too many people were just going online making info pass appointments for stuff that they could do online. Going there and make info pass just to ask, why is my petition taking so long? You could have called somebody, really.
Yeah. And all
Especially
the
because
because again, the last bit of what I have from the new immigration phase with the citizenship is, or there's, you create a login like in an app. The USCIS has an app now. You log in, you keep track of that then and there. Of course, they can also send you email and text alerts if you choose to sign up for that.
yes, if you register, like I have 3 different apps on my phone there that 3 different ones that just keep track of my 2 petitions that I have, my removal conditions and my citizenship, and that they're kind of handy. And one of them is actually kind of wazzy because it keeps sending updates like every hour to everybody. And of course, when you hear that ding, you're like,
I know. Oh, that let's
update,
talk about that.
update.
Let's talk about the emotions of the immigration process. Like,
Oh gosh,
oh,
I always tell people, when you're at USCIS, when you file, you file and you're like, whoo, I filed, and you just want to know how long is it going to take, and da 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 da, and you think you got it all together, and you can't wait to go to NVC, and then you get approved, and your stuff goes to NVC, and it's like all knowledge and everything has left your brain, and you're like, what do I do next? You see people post it all the time. What's the next step? Like, are you kidding me? You've been sitting here a year, but it's because your brain just went foggy and you forgot. And then you get to NVC, and then you get your documents together, and you pay your fee, and you're just, and I've seen this so many times. People, now they've submitted everything. Now they're waiting to get reviewed and then it used to be called case complete. Now they call it documentarily qualified now. It's called DQ now. It's not called case complete
oh
anymore.
my goodness, all
So
these
when you
new words.
so when you get DQ'd now it's like people kind of freak. You haven't got your interview yet. Now you're waiting in the interview queue, but now it's sort of like it's getting real now. Now people are kind of hyperventilating a little bit and like, oh my gosh, I haven't cleaned out my closet yet. I haven't cleaned out the drawers. Then you get the interview. Now you got, 10. I mean, aside from Mexico, unfortunately for our people in Mexico, it's a 9-month wait for an interview. I feel so sorry for them. So if they get documentarily qualified today, 9 months from now, they will get scheduled an interview for the next month. So, but everybody else, 1, 2, 3 months. It just depends. Every embassy seems to be just backlog. I don't know what happened, but then when they get the interview, then that's when I notice people start to, oh my God, this is real. This, like, he or she's really coming here. Oh my God, Lord have mercy, and it gets real, and it's just funny, the ebb and flow, and the arguments, and get this, and you got to do that,
Oh,
and you got to do
speaking
this.
of the arguments, speaking
You
of
better
the arguments.
you better wear that, and you better take this. You better take this evidence to the. It's just funny, and but then once the interview's over, then it's, they can
I love you
breathe.
again. Yeah.
Exactly. Then it gets to the next level on, oh my God, I got to buy a plane ticket. Do you see how much plane tickets cost? So it's just a high and low. It's not for the faint at heart, for
No.
sure. It never is constant. You got to keep your brains about you and your wits about you. And that's one reason that kept me sane was just learning, because I love to learn stuff, and I just have to know. I don't care if I was to have had a lawyer, I would have known more than that lawyer, because I just have to know. I cannot stand not knowing stuff, and it always bothered me, people who have like lawyers and consultants and stuff, and they're like, I don't know where the lawyer knows where it is. I don't know. I don't even know my case number. Are you serious? I couldn't be in the dark like that, but some people just, hey, I'm paying you all the money for you to worry about it. So they're like, cool, just tell me when to show up. And, that's cool for them, So, until they find out, that they could have done this all themselves. So, I mean, just like a simple thing is, when you get approved of USCIS, your petition goes to NVC. And and now, if, in fact, on the travel.state.gov, when you show the pie chart that shows all the steps of NVC, they now have a case creation timeline. It tells you exactly what date they're working on to create case numbers. So people are always wondering, how long do I have to wait after I get approved at USCIS? It tells you, we're working on this date that we received, and it'll tell you what date they're working on for people to get them documentarily qualified. We're working on this date of everybody who submitted their documents, this received date. So it's like, I can tell they're really trying to cut down the phone calls and giving us everything they need. Now people need to know how to go to these websites and get this
Okay, that's
information.
good, because I definitely remember calling a lot, especially once I got to the NBC phase, because it would get delayed. Now, for me, I would say in a way I was blessed, because we did have a somewhat of a short timeline.
Mm-hmm.
Our timeline was a give and take 9 or 10 months. Also, because I learned, we'll talk about this in a minute, but I learned through a website that was super helpful about a medical expedite. Now, before getting to, I guess, the NBC and VC. Let me make sure it doesn't sound like, the channel, the TV channel. NBC. Before I got there, I was like religiously on this website called Visa Journey. Want to
Mm-hmm.
talk more about that? How that
Oh
helped
yeah.
you and how you got started with that?
Oh yeah, and that's where I got started. It's funny. It's like way back in 2011, when after I married my first husband, and I didn't know anything about. I mean, I was one of those people who are like, you need a what to come to the United States? A what? Yeah, we weren't didn't even talk about immigration or nothing. So I had a friend who was in Korea as a teacher with her at the time fiance, and she was saying, she goes, if you want to know about immigration and visas, go to this site. So I went there, and I just started reading and learning and reading, and that's how I just started. I mean, the groups and stuff didn't come until like 9 months later, and so I just stayed on Visa Journey and stuff. Now I'm a moderator on Visa Journey, and try to do. I have 2 threads that I run every single month. They've been running since 2012. I have the NVC filers that every month, and then I have the case complete to interview thread. And we just robust conversation, and it helps us stay on top of stuff because all people need to do is see what's on the news, and they freak out. Oh my God, does this mean that I can't bring my husband or my wife or my kids or this? And so they come to the Visa Journey groups, and they ask the questions, and they can get the latest thing. Like, for instance, perfect example is the adjustment of status. The adjustment of status is changing October 1st.
Now, what's adjustment of status?
Adjusted status is for people who are in the United States and you want this person to have a green card in the United States. What we filed for was when our spouses are out of the country, we're filing to bring them here. So you're adjusting their status here. Well, now, because most people who watch the news have heard the word public charge, means that the government is fearful that this immigrant is going to jump on government aid, and they don't want that. So now the adjustment of status has a new form and a new addendum that you're going to basically have to swear on your life and all your kids and everything else that this person is not going to, is more than the affidavit of support, that which is everybody's financials, because everybody has to meet a certain income guideline to bring people over here also. So it's just, everything is just Adam. I mean, the big bugaboo right now in immigration is the public charge, and a lot of people not affording to bring people over. And what a lot of people fear is that the United States is going to be like the UK and like Canada, and joint sponsors are going to be no more. And joint sponsors, for those who don't know, is when the sponsor, the petitioner, does not make enough, so they go get a friend, a family, whoever, to that makes enough money to be a joint sponsor. You're telling the government, yes, I will help support this person. Well, a lot of people are fearful that that's going to go away, because a lot of embassies like Ghana, especially if it's a K1, do not like joint sponsors.
Now, K1 rewind is the fiance visa.
Fiance. Yes, and they've been denying a lot of people. I know somebody who had a joint sponsor that makes over $600,000 a year, and they denied that application. But I told her, I think it's because he was too young. Because I go, this is a 10-year commitment. When you do an affidavit of support, you are telling the government you will help support this person for 10 years. Well, when you're 21, 22 years old, single, no kids, not married, the government's looking at it like, okay, what is the likelihood of this 21, 22-year-old not getting married, having kids in the next 10 years? And highly unlikely. And he's going to have his own family. So the bottom line is, government wants theirs when they want theirs. So you know, and every year the conversation's always fiance visas will go away, that people will have to marry to bring their loved one over here. No more fiance, get married when you get here. That's always topic every single year. So because of Canada got rid of it, UK got rid of it, I'm sure, I believe the United States is gonna get rid of it. Even though
I believe it too. I mean, even though we personally love watching the TV show 90 Day Fiance,
yes,
it's kind of, you know, getting a bad rap, you know. So I think it's also getting a bad rap because that's why there's so many that's why there's so much negativity when it comes to having an immigrant or international love, rather, because they know that, okay, in order for the marriage to even happen, the immigration, a visa has to be filed. And so a lot of, you know, understandably, a lot of parents, a lot of siblings worry about their family member who, you know, taking on the risk of an international love. Like, okay, how do you know he's not just scamming you? Because sure, yeah, even though there's a 50-50 chance that it's genuine love, but there's a 50-50 chance that the person just looking out for themselves.
Exactly. And you don't know. I mean, it's a big risk, and especially with a lot of these family members and friends are signing on the dotted line without even meeting this person. And like I told somebody, I'm going, think about it like because I go, you're basically co-signing like for a car. Think about co-signing for a car and you don't know nothing about what they bought. Somebody just handed you things, say, would you co-sign for me to go get this car? You don't know if the car is new, old, whatever, but you say, okay. And it's like, but it's a 10-year cosign. You know, most people would run for the hills, say, I'm not co-signing for no car for no 10-year. No, I'm not. You know, I mean, it's too iffy. And then that person that asked you to co-sign, they don't work. Now that even makes it harder, because you're like, so if you don't make your car payment, that means I got to make your car payment. You know, so that affidavit support is you know, is very, very, very iffy. And especially with the statistics going up more, that a lot of people are coming over here because, you know, people talk about the 90-day, you know, fiance thing. You know, you have 90 days to get married once you get here. A lot of people aren't getting married. A lot of people are going their separate ways. A lot of people have used the fiance visa just to get their foot in the United States and never even saw their fiance. You live in Florida, I live in California. You never saw me, but I got here. You're like, I don't know where they are, and stuff. And that's happening a lot. I've been seeing a lot of that. I've seen a lot of denials where they're like, the CO's like, I don't even think you're getting married in 90 days. I've seen 3 just this week in Ghana that they all got denied because the CO said, I don't even think you guys are getting married in 90 days. So nope, go get married and then file. So
now let's talk about those situations where they got married here in the US, they've been married, and then come time for their tenure, because the phase of the green card is 2 years and then 10 years, right? Come time for the renewal of the tenure card, and whoopsie, there's a surprise. I never renewed.
Okay. First, for those listening, just to give you some history, when you file for somebody, and if they enter the United States before your 2-year wedding anniversary, they're going to get a 2-year green card. If they enter the United States after your 2-year anniversary, they get a 10-year green card. Same thing as for people who file for somebody in the United States. If they got approved before their 2-year anniversary, they get a 2-year green card. Otherwise, they get a 10-year green card. So you get the 2-year green card, which means in 21 to 24 months, in that 21 to 24 month window, you have to call, which is called remove conditions, because that 2-year green card is called a conditional residency. So now, after 2 years, you have to fill out an I-751 removal of conditions, send in some evidence to show that you are really living the happy life. You don't have to be happy, but live the life together. Show you've been filing taxes together, hopefully living together in the same house, doing bills together, and you send that in. And unfortunately, because it's taken so long, it's taken about a year, 12 to 15 months. We're on our 15th month and we still not approved.
Because that's
And
what you are now, you said.
yes. And so you wait and you get approved. You get a 10-year green card. Some people are pulled in for an interview. Some people aren't. Some people have gotten visits. And then, like how you said, I'm in a group right now with removal of condition people, and more than half of the people in the group have already filed for divorce. That means that these are people who have not even been married for some, not even hardly, well, at least 2 years. They've been married 2 years and they've already filed for divorce. One couple, they said they filed for divorce after 9 months, and he's filing for his removal conditions. Now, I guess the immigrations figured that this would be an issue one day, so they knew people would get divorced because
that's why they established the 2 years.
And there's a thing on the actual application. It says divorce waiver, where you check the divorce waiver. Now, divorce waiver, you still might be called in for an interview. I mean, a lot of divorce waiver people aren't called in. All immigration wants to know is, was the marriage entered in good faith? Did you try? Did you really get married to get married? Because they know, especially with a lot of the foreign stuff and people living abroad and stuff like that, or even people who adjusted in the country, they know marriages fall apart. So they just want to know, did you enter in good faith? And then you show the evidence, pictures together, bills together and things like that, and you enter it. And many of those people still get their 10-year green card.
Yeah.
I mean, it's interesting. It's like, wow, it's like, so there's still hope, to get green cards and stuff like that.
Now, I want to talk about this situation. I'm going to see if I can find it. Now, it's a pretty common situation. Now, the good thing about, I would say, sisterhood, the good thing about Facebook groups is that you can find relatable or even not so relatable posts, right? Stories being told of, this is what I had to go through. How do I get myself out of it? So there's one where, let's say that the person is single, been single for a while, but is also trying to, no, I can't even find it now. Okay, but I think I remember. So the person, just happened to meet, let's say, an African, because we're both married to Africans. Happened to meet an African. He's sweet, he's handsome, he's charming, he's the whole package. But I got pregnant by him, and now he wants to get married. But I don't know, because I know his status is he's not a citizen, but I don't know what he is. So what do I do?
What do you do? Well, this is when you have to have those conversations when you start dating. This those regular conversations that you have and stuff like that. Someone he tells you, "Oh, I'm from Ghana. I'm from Nigeria," and stuff like that. Just ask casually, without being Gestapo, but just ask casually, so how did you come to the United States? I mean, you don't have to act like, see me, I'd be like, what visa did you come in on? But then they'll know, oh, she knows immigration. So they say, how did you come here? Now they might say, oh, I came here to visit my aunt, or I came here as a student. Oh, when did you come? Now, if they sit there and talk about they came here 5, 10, 15 years ago, they're out of status. But we don't have
Better run.
5 and 15 years. Because I just read something in the group today. The lady was saying she's 21. She wants to file for her mother. And her mother came here 22 years ago and got pregnant and on a visitor visa. I'm like, she goes, so I don't know her status. I'm like, she's illegal. We have no 22-year long visitor visas. Okay. So, and I don't think I think a lot of people assume because somebody's here in the United States and they're working, they must be legal. But it's like, those are the kind of things you have to ask, especially if you're thinking of marrying somebody and then filing for them. You need to know their status, because it may be for naught. You may be filing and all your money's going down the drain. So no, just be honest with the guy, or girl, and say, what is your status? How long have you been here? So then you'll know how long is their overstay. Have you been here? I mean, is anything over 180 days? You're going to start incurring a ban, if 3 year, 5 years, sometimes lifetime. So you need to ask those questions. How did you come here? What are you doing here? Do you work? And stuff like that. And hopefully, if they're honest, they might be forthcoming, because unless they're working under the table, they came here on a visitor visa or a student visa, they're probably working under somebody else's name and social security number. I know I've had my identity taken about 5 years ago by someone who was illegal. I'm still trying to clean up my credit. So it's a very sore spot with me. I have something on my credit right now. They will not take off, and it's an $850 Sprint bill for somebody in California, and they will not take it off. They just ordered some phones, got the phones, have not done anything, and all in my name. And it's like, really?
But so
So.
yeah, it's so like for immigrants. I mean, yes, moving to a new country is hard. Being married is hard, but
Mm-hmm,
honesty is important. So I mean, for us at least, now correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know if it's helpful because of the fact that he was married by the time he came here, that he was able to get driver's license, security, social security number, job, eventually build credit. At least first under mine as the authorized user and then his own. But maybe it's just easier for those who are married because you have that, co-partnership versus if you're just starting out fresh, just have no credit, no
mm-hmm,
job history, or not even no job history. Say you may have, gone to school in your country, but it doesn't qualify here. You do have to start over.
mm-hmm.
So
Well, the
it's
problem the problem is with the married, you get the green card. Without the green card, you're going to constantly be looking over your back, whether you're working under somebody else's name or something. You're not legal at all, so you really can't do anything. I mean, I would think that even if you're working under somebody's name and social security number, I'm sure that there's probably a limit. I'm sure they probably can't go get new cars and stuff, but you're using somebody else's credit, and it's like, if you're using my name and social security number, no, you can't go apply for no credit, and stuff. And
or job.
yeah, yeah, so you're really limited, and you do have to look over your shoulders, because I mean, as we saw in the news, look at the raid that happened in Louisiana, 600 people, and like they said, all those people were working under somebody else's name and social security number. They were using employees that were there that were U.S. citizens and double dipping. So this is happening and all over the place and stuff, and and it's a close knit community. Yes, they were working, but you can believe that those people were working every day in fear for something like that to happen, because they're not legal. So until you're legal, I don't care whose name you're working on, and it's just so easier to just find somebody, get married. Hopefully it's for love, and even if it's not for love, if you just be upfront with somebody, you could be in for love, but still, I still need my papers. I mean, that's a thing that many people have to look at when they're going into a relation. When you ask those questions, do you want to be associated with somebody who needs that? What if you get married to this person, you file for them, and on interview day, here comes ICE, like what happened to my friend. They were married couple of years, and he had been here like 5 years illegally. I mean, overstayed, didn't go back on a student visa and stuff like that. Had their adjustment of status interview. Everything went great. The CO even said, everything's great. I would approve you and stuff, but I hate to tell you, but ICE is here for you with an arrest warrant. They arrested him, and with 30 days, he was back in. Did he go back to Gambia? Senegal. Back to Senegal, just like that, and that's one thing that I've told many women. I go, some of you women are meeting these guys that have been here a long time,
And
and
they're
that's
sometimes
what
looking for that way out. They're,
and that's what the
trying
president.
to.
They're the people that the president's looking for a long time, because he's looking at it as like, oh, you don't even care about our laws. You've been here. I mean, it'd be different if it was an overstay like 6 months, a year. But when you've got jumped into the 5, 10, 15, 20 years, you've just said, bump you, America. Okay, I'm only getting married. Like my friend who works at USCIS has said that filing for people who've been here illegally has gone up 400%. It used to be, just everybody just left it alone, but everybody's now scared now. And she goes, most of the petitions that they're getting are people that have been here illegally at least 5 years, some up to 30 years, been here illegally all this time, working illegally, living illegally, and they said some of these people are paying tax. Well, they're not paying tax with somebody. Yeah, and some of these people have a social security numbers. You could, with $50, you can buy a social security number. You give $50. Somebody will
Ooh.
top you up a nice social security number. Now it might be that new baby that was just born at, the Memorial Hermann downtown Houston. But hey, the baby ain't gonna need it for 18 years, and that's how they do. I mean, you find that little bank of numbers, and they add those last four numbers, because everybody can find the first five. You just add those four. They do that up. I'm telling you. I mean, when my friend was at USCIS, showed me. I mean, I'm like, I don't even see how you even catch folk. I mean, it's amazing, because I remember the day when immigration would come knocking on your door, be like, is Bob there? Okay, my friend, let's put it this way. Back when I was 20, living in Seattle, a friend of mine married somebody from Guam and paid her $40,000. They wanted me to marry his cousin. They're going to pay me 40,000. No, they kept coming to her house. They came there twice, and he wasn't there, of course. They said, we're going to come back in 24 hours. He better be here or you're going to jail. He got there, but she still went to jail and had to pay $45,000 fine. And he got deported. And I was like, that was back when immigration didn't play. Now they're trying to get back to those days, because I've noticed a lot of people been talking about immigration, been coming to their job, been coming to their work. And these are American citizens they've been coming to, not people who are illegal, because they're saying there's just too many people marrying for pay, marrying for whatever, or people get married and people go their separate ways from jump, and so they're trying to stop that. So and that's good, because the real couples, the real people who really are in love and want to start a family and life here, and they deserve not to be so scrutinized because other people want to play games. I mean,
So
gee whiz.
that's actually where I wanted to go. What advice do you have for those who the love is real, the love is there, but you got that hurdle of immigration? What is your advice for those lovers?
They're the ones who, if you haven't filed yet, that's where the word front load comes. Front loading is putting all your quality evidence up front. It used to be a day, and the day was like, excuse me, somebody's singing in the background. Back in about 2010, 2011, they used to tell everybody, just bring everything to the interview. Bring all your evidence to the interview. Well, now we're in a world where, like, a perfect example is Lagos, Nigeria. On a given day, because they have so many people going for visitor visas, there's 300 to 400 people waiting outside for an interview. They do not have time to go through your 10,000 pages of chitty chats and I love yous and oh, I miss you. They're not ready for that. So what we do is you put your evidence up front. One, when it goes to USCIS, that means it's approved. So that means the embassy has to see it once they receive it. Plus, like I tell people, what do you want in that CO's hand at the embassy, a year down the road? What do you want in their hand for them to render you an approval. So you want to put your quality evidence up there in their hands. And like in my case, like you had said at the beginning, both husbands I stayed with 6 months. I had to overcome the age barrier. So I lived with him, not just go there, get married. Because I got married on our first visit. And it's funny, I got married 21 days after I divorced the first husband, even though he said he divorced me 2 years prior, but he never gave me any papers. So I had to divorce him, and 21 days later. So it looked like, but I did an explanation. I wrote a divorce timeline, and I had that sucker on the very first page so they could see, ooh, wait, this woman's been through some stuff. So they could see that. And then I came back after I filed, and then 6 months later, I went back there and stayed 6 months until the interview was over. But that was, and they knew I was there. They knew, they even asked my husband, and they were saying, that's really nice that she's there. And those are the kind of things that you need to overcome, because nothing overcomes visits. Face to face is what they want to see. And face to face, people, is not Skype, okay, or Zoom.
Or
Face
what's
to
up?
face is okay. Face to face is in person, real time, living. Is this like how so many people have found out?
Not Photoshop. Like, I know it's so easy for people to, man, I'm going to talk about that. I know it's so
So,
easy for couples who are long distance. They will Photoshop. Oh, here's me, here's him, but that's not the same background. They need to
mm-mm.
see that y'all were both at that club, that house with the family. Yeah.
Living together, arguing like regular people in the same space, getting on each other's nerves. That's what they, that's when it's the real deal and stuff. So there's so many things to help people over that, and that's the biggest thing that. I mean, that's the only thing I can think of really to overcome red flags is time together. To extend that vacation, unless you're blessed. Like I know one of the ladies, I think she's a flight attendant, but she goes sees her guy every single month. Well, of course, everybody doesn't have that luxury, and the embassy knows too. As Americans, we don't get 10,000 weeks of vacation and stuff like that.
Yeah,
So,
if
but
you
it's
don't
like,
work for yourself, you don't have
mhm,
a lot of money. Yeah.
yeah, because I know when I first had went, I took a month off, and I only 2 weeks of it was paid. The rest of it was not paid. But sometimes you got to make those sacrifices. I mean, if somebody's a teacher, like some teachers get the whole summer off, go stay with him for the summer because that speaks volumes, and stuff. So those are the things that you do, visits and long visits if you possibly can,
But the
possibly.
visits not only help if you do have to file for immigration, they help your marriage too.
Hmm. Yes. Yes, because I know for me, living with my husband, like we were just talking about this the other day, I'll go living together in the same space for 6 months really, really helped mold us and shape us and test us and everything. Because I never really, really lived with anybody. So it's like, wow, this is what it's like for living with a man. It's so different than living with your brothers or your father, So it really, really tests you. And for some, I've known some people have done it like, I don't know if I can do this, So it's good, and stuff. It goes beyond the culture and the food and the this. It's just you and me in the same space. You get on my nerves or we get it fine. I don't want to watch that.
I don't want
So
to eat that. I put my
exactly.
clothes here because I want to.
I don't feel like eating right now. So yeah, and so that's what I would say is visits. Make them long if you possibly can is the key. Be with the family. Really spend time with his family, village or wherever they're living and stuff like that. Mom time, his mom, their dad, or whatever, the family, because a lot of people don't realize because it is a cultural differences and people sometimes don't realize that these COs that are at these embassies live in those countries. So they know the culture too. So they
Hmm.
know, and especially if you're with an African, they know African parental approval means everything. Means everything. I know a woman who was in her 50s and the CO wanted to know why wasn't his parents at the wedding. And it was because they didn't invite the parents because they were afraid that the parents wouldn't approve. So they didn't even tell the parents about it. And the CEO was like, well, that's not cool. You got married, you haven't even told the parents. He was, and he said the CO was actually kind of offended, like, how you gonna get married? Come all the way here, get married, and not even tell his parents. I mean, and he's saying this to the man, going, how you not tell your parents? And he goes, well, I didn't want them, get upset, blah blah. Like, how you think they're gonna act now? After you've met them, and so they were actually denied, and it took a long, long time. It took about 2 years. It was a mess. It was a real hot mess. It was just like, wow, they had to jump through a lot of hoops to prove that their marriage was strong and real and this and that and stuff. So, you got to overcome those hurdles and stuff. But yeah, time with the family means volumes too. So
I love it. I love it. Now, thank you, Debbie. This has been amazing. You definitely know what you're talking about because you've been through. You had to go through what you had to go through. That's what I say.
I'm telling you, and it's like I would tell people how I learned about immigration was for me to heal. After my first marriage fell apart, instead of me, after I pulled myself up, I just dove into learning about immigration because I wanted everybody else to have a happy ever after. And with every approval, with every my baby's coming home, my man's coming home, help me heal every single day. I mean, to this day, I still stay up late at night, since overseas is 6, 8, 10 hours later, to get that text, to get that call. We got to prove Debbie. I still stay up with people when they tell me. I know people's interview dates and stuff, and I follow right along with them because it's something that my pastor used to always say. You have to be happy for the very thing that you're asking God to bless you with that you haven't gotten. And
Absolutely.
I believe in
Absolutely.
those words. So you have to be joyful, and I am. And that's why I do what I do, because I like people to be happy.
I love it. I love it. Now, where can we find you on the web? How can we pay you to services to help us get these visas?
You can get some, oh gosh, I haven't got my website up yet, but I do have. You can send it to Debbie L Anosike. Actually, you know what? You can send it to my company email, Divine Visa Consultants at gmail.com. It'll be official once we get it up. It won't be a Gmail, but it's Divine, Divine, Visa Consultants at gmail.com.
Now, is that going to be the social media handles? Is that also the PayPal and Cash App?
It's going to be PayPal.
Okay.
PayPal. Yeah. PayPal. So that way, your stuff is protected and everything, and it will help you walk you through things, talk you through things, stuff. It'll be all good. It'll be all good. So, and I mean, I do know my stuff. I've gotten 2 lawyers disbarred because of their malfeasance. So,
I'm going to definitely attest to that too. I mean, by the time I don't even know, by the time I figured out that it was you in the visa journey group, I think my husband was like on his way here. I don't even remember. I think I finally, what was helpful for me was obviously following the timeline from the
hmm
same embassies of my husband's country of the Gambia. So finding other, Gambian wives, because there's not that many of us because it's such a small
Yeah.
country. So
hmm
by the time I figured out it was you,
hmm
my husband was, I think, if I remember correctly, my husband was going to the interview. We were at that point of arguing. I'm like, how do I get him to do this, do that, make sure he does this, do that?
Yep, you were at the end. Yep, you were
Mhm.
towards that end, and that's the thing that I would encourage anybody that's out there is you are not alone. You will be amazed how many of us are out there. You may think, is there anybody that's here in the United States that's filed for somebody in another country? You might have all the red flags in the world. You may be divorced with 50,000 kids and this and that and everything. Trust me, I can give you probably 10 other people who have your same scenario. You are not alone. Reach out, find your sisterhood, find somebody, come to visajourney.com. I'm dwill76. You can inbox me and I'll, help get you the support, because one, you can't make it through this journey without some support. Find 1 or 2 sisters that'll help hold your hand through this. Otherwise you'll lose your mind,
Literally,
and
literally.
help you through this process, so just wanted to just put that out there. You are not alone.
Thank you, Debbie. Yeah, that sisterhood definitely helped me because I feel like now that I think back, I had a blog post about it and I feel like I'm going to talk more about it too. But had I I not involved my husband. I involved my husband not as much as I should have. But because I
Mhm.
had that sisterhood to keep me going, because I couldn't talk to him about it, because what does he know? He only know what I tell him. But then I have a sisterhood of
Mhm.
those who have been through it or all going through it at the same time as me. So that has definitely helped me through the emotional turmoil of, the immigration journey. So yeah.
Yes, yes.
Well, thank you, Debbie. This has been
Thank
great.
you. Yeah, it's been fun. I could talk all day on this.
I know. That's why we're going to send you to your website. We're going